Welcome, latest Motley Fool scoreboard. I'm on in Chocolate. We've got longtime fools Tyler Crowe and Travis William giving a 1 to 10 rating to a top 100 stock in the primary Hidden Gems database. It's Philip Morris International, ticker symbol PM. Rate the strength of Philip Morris's business first, including factors like industry and competition. 10's invincible, a 1 is hopeless. Tyler's at an 8. Travis, you're at a 6.
Yeah, I can't go real high on this one. I'm going to be honest. I didn't know that smoking was still a thing until I went to France recently, and apparently nothing has changed since, the 80s or 90s, since, when I started going to bars and you had to wash all your clothes when you got home. That isn't the way that things are here, and you can see that obviously in their numbers. This is Philip Morris International, but just culturally very different all around the world. Now, I just don't think that's the kind of business that is going to be growing long term. That has been wrong, especially on the smokeless side of things. So that's why I just don't want to go particularly high here.
I gave it an 8 because this is one of those businesses that I feel like you have to begrudgingly admit how durable they are. Travis giving the anecdote about France, living in the places I have between like Africa and parts of the former Soviet Union. France is very mild on the smoking spectrum compared to some other places here. So I can assuredly say that smoking is still very much alive around the rest of the world. I think all of Philip Morris cigarette sales are ex-US because of that Altria Philip Morris negotiated split several years ago. So I think the long tail decline of smoking products for them specifically will last much longer. There's even some cigarette growth markets left to tap in emerging markets. So combine that with the rise of smokeless products in Philip Morris's portfolio and the ability to actually now compete in the US with that smokeless products, I think it gives it a few more growth options than we thought about maybe 4 or 5 years ago with cigarette companies.
For management, a 10 is Warren Buffett, a 1 is Homer Simpson. Tyler's at an 8. Travis, you're at a 7.
Yeah, I didn't want to go too low here because I think management has done basically everything they can. Moving into the smokeless business, it has been a huge success, given a little bit of a foothold in the U.S., and that is really the big growth market. But, they're dealing with the cards that they're dealt with this kind of a market. You've got to lean on that international sales outside of the U.S. for smoking products. But then, if smokeless does continue to grow, that could be their driver long term. And I guess that's what they're leaning into.
I kind of like corporate lifers, so I gave an 8. CEO Jacek Olczak has been with the company for like 30 more or plus years, and he's risen through the ranks, so probably knows the company more so than almost anyone else. He has been largely responsible for the company's push into smokeless, especially with the acquisition of Swedish company Match and the Zyn pouches, which I think is at this point maybe the highest terms of sales when it comes to the nicotine pouches. So kudos to them for really identifying ways to keep this sunsetting business alive and well beyond the age of smoking.
For financials, a 10 is a fortress, a 1 is yikes. Tyler's at a 7. Travis, you're at a 6.
Yeah, smoke-free products are really the story here. When you look at the financials since 2018, 23% compound annual growth rate. That's really impressive. I can't help but think that eventually there's going to be the same cultural shift that we saw with smoking with some of these smokeless products. I don't love the reliance on Europe and convincing emerging markets to stay addicted to tobacco products. So that's why I just don't want to go particularly high here. I think there's risk underlying in the financials.
Yeah, I mean, a 7, that was kind of a knock for me. I think the returns and the margins for this business are spectacular. You certainly don't have to reinvest in cigarettes very much. Growth has been meh, but that should accelerate with the smokeless products, as Travis was saying, as it'll become a larger part of the revenue mix over time. The one concern for me has been, and this is a shorter term thing, it's dividend coverage as on an income or cash flow basis has been perilously thin. Now, if the company were to have some sort of financial misstep, that dividend could actually get in trouble, and the dividend and its growth has been a big driver of value for Philip Morris over time.
All right, well, let's talk about those returns, Tyler. How well will Philip Morris International stock do over the next 5 years, and how safe is it? 10's a sure thing, 1's a lottery ticket.
I did a safety score, returns of 5 to 10%, safety score of 7. Probably not in a position to beat the market over the next 5 years unless we're in some sort of prolonged bear market. This is not a built to beat the market kind of business. It will likely generate adequate returns over time and likely have as much of a longer shelf life as thanks to smokeless products, unless we were to start to see some anti-vaping or, I don't know, we call it anti-pouching, I guess, campaigns in the United States or elsewhere.
Yeah, I think that's the reason that you got to go pretty low on the safety score is if there is some sort of a move for anti-vaping or pouching, that is going to be a huge risk for the business. So I set my expectations pretty low at 0 to 5%. Safety score is 5. I just don't have a lot of confidence that the growth over the last few years in the smokeless products is going to continue. So maybe I'm wrong here. Very possible, but set low expectations.
Thanks to both Tyler and to Travis. They've given Philip Morris an meh overall score of 6.2 out of 10. Tyler's a little more bullish than Travis, but neither are super high on it. For top hits, Travis prefers MGM if we were doing Sin stocks writ large. Look out for a new scoreboard every market day at 7 p.m. Eastern. Next up is Cadence Design Systems. Till then, full on.
When we were in France, I was shocked that this smoking was still a thing.
If you think Paris is smoking a lot, boy, you ought to head to Eastern Europe, buddy.